to Northern Ireland for the 2007 United Kingdom Strongest Man competition. It's the fourth time the event's been held, and over the last 3 years there's been one man who has dominated. Well, welcome to day one. We're at City Hall Gardens in the centre of Belfast. There are 16 competitors overall, 2 groups of 8. We're going to see the first group of 8 today. 6 will go through from the day's event. There are 4 events ahead of us. Well, Simon Morton, England's strongest man in 2003. 33 years old, 56-inch chest, big fella, but then they all are. Michael Williams, second in the Wales Strongest Man competition this year. There's credentials. Bridgend. Rob Frampton, the Stone Man from Titchfield in Hampshire. Portsmouth's Strongest Man this year. You've got him 23 stone of him. He's 6 feet, 60-inch chest. Nigel Troy, Trojan Horse, County Tipperary in Ireland, was third in Ireland's Strongest Man competition this year. Another big man at 20 stone, 49-inch chest. Lee Allen is next up, from Kirkcaldy in Fife in Scotland. He was a former ice hockey player, turned strongman. 16 stone, the lightest of them all. Lewis MacLean, promoted and held the Scotland's Strongest Man competition this year. 19 stoner, 6 feet 2, 35. And this is Jay Hughes, called Hollywood by his friends, from Chatham in Kent. 6 feet 3, 24 years old. And here's the man, the promoter of this event, the Bangor in Northern Ireland, the defending champion, who takes some beating. Look at that, 58-inch chest. He's only 6 feet 1 though, but he's big and he's powerful. Well, the first event is the medley of pain. Gary Taylor alongside me. Gary, take us through the rules of this.
Quite simply, they have to flip a 410 kilo tyre 3 times, move on to the railway sleepers, move them 10 metres, they weigh in excess of 400 kilos, and finally lift the big stone, 160 kilos, onto the high barrel.
The important thing is that they get underway very quickly. The railway lines will be the most difficult part of it. They've got to move it across those 2 lines, and they've got to move it completely across. Glenn Ross on the left here, the defending champion, and Simon Morton, Big Si, alongside him, the postman. It's against the clock, and the time will be taken once they get the railway line across the second line. With Simon being introduced to the crowd here, and they'll be given the start. There they are.
Timekeeper's ready.
It's a pretty tough one, this. Glenn Ross is very, very strong, lacks a bit of mobility, but this is very, very tough indeed. Technique, well, what about that guy?
Yeah, the 2 very strong guys here. Simon did well last year. They've got to get through this part as quickly as they possibly can, get the 3 flips out the way, and then move on to the very, very heavy sleepers.
Well, I reckon Simon has lost count, because that's his 4th flip. So he now moves on to the railway line. Now this has got to be lifted. Oh, look at this. Ross straight up. Not particularly quick, but he's moving it across that line. He's got to get it across the second line for a time to be taken. Now they've got to do this within 90 seconds, haven't they? There's a time limit.
The whole event has to be in 90 seconds, but they all know that this is a very difficult part of it, so they'll be taking the time to get the sleepers over that line.
Now they go to the big stones, but still Simon Morton is struggling. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do this, you know. But he'll get a time for the final flip of the time. Well, certainly Glenn has got a very quick time already. That may well be superseded, having said that, but he's got to now try and get the stone onto the barrel within the 90 seconds. If he doesn't do that, then the whole event will depend on how quickly he got the railway line across the second line.
Yeah, that's quite right. You can move the railway sleepers very quickly. But this is a big stone. As you can see, he's putting tacky in his hand to try and help him with the traction. But this is a big stone. I think he's actually lost a lot of energy on the railway lines, and as you can see.
Yeah, he's given up on that, but he will have a final time. We'll bring you up to date with that when we look at the comparisons between the competitors. But found that quite tough.
Glenn, congratulations, first win of the day. We noticed you didn't go for the final stone. What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, mainly the resin that I was using. A lot of the boys decided to do it at the last, and really it doesn't work. You got to leave it on for a minute or two to start getting tacky. So it was like grease. Then might as well have put Vaseline on my arms. This didn't work, but I didn't want to push myself. This is the first of 13 awesome events, so I'm pleased to get the railway sections over the line. That's a challenge in itself. You know, like they're nearly 400 kilos, so I was pleased to do that.
Great, thanks very much, Glenn.
Insight there. Well, we've got Lewis MacLean on the left, Rob Frampton on the right, the stone man. That's a 19 stoner against this man who's 26 stone, as you can see. And they go in different directions, incidentally, but we shall show you the comparison as best we can. And MacLean, very much more mobile than Frampton. Of course, there's always a balance between absolute strength and mobility in these events. And MacLean is really going well.
Yeah, MacLean is a new boy on the scene, but he's showing his athletic ability, doing really well, gets through the 3 tires as quickly as he possibly can.
Yes, indeed, and Rob Frampton's really got a motor here because MacLean is going to be on the lines, and he's on the lines already, and he's ahead. He really is. He's competed in Britain's Strongest Man 3 times, this fella. Promoted and held the Scotland's Strongest Man competition this year, so he's well into the sport. Look at this, desperately trying to lift this line. Just to remind you once again, it's 380 kilograms. And Frampton, you see, that's the difference between a mobile competitor and one with absolute strength. We'll see if Frampton can actually get this thing moved, because the distance it's moved will also act as a plus in the final scoring.
Yes, definitely. As you can see, these are very heavy, and every inch of distance will count.
Well, it looks as though he's moved it around about a couple of metres, and that'll be good enough. He's come out the better of the two quite clearly, and that will count in his favour, the distance that he moved the railway lines. So he'll move on to the next event. See who can better that.
Rob, well done. Was that as heavy as it looked?
Probably heavier, yeah. It's quite deceiving where the frame is quite a thin-looking frame. Where it's made of sort of the railway's metal, it very heavy, real cast iron, and handles really thick, quite far away. So that's what sort of doesn't help at all.
It's only the first event. After having done that, how do you feel for the rest of the competition?
Oh, very good, yeah, very good. The first ones always get the sort of nerves out of the way and the niggles. So yeah, I'm pleased I moved it. That was my goals for that part of the event. So yeah, pleased.
Well, certainly the point he made there about the width of the grip is a significant one, because he can't get the weight close enough to his body to exert the big leg strength that he's got. Now, Nigel Troy of Ireland is next up from County Tipperary, 23 years old, and he's up against Jay Hughes. Hollywood to his friends from Chatham in Kent. He's second in the Southern Counties Championship this year, I'm told. Now then, what can he do? What can they do? 3 flips of this tyre, remember, just to remind you, it's 410 kilograms, that's 900 pounds. It's a very, very heavy weight indeed. You've got to get behind it and get some momentum into it. And certainly, look at this. Now then, Hughes now moving well. Look at this. This is a very good lift now by Jay Hughes. He is flying. Well, that's going to be the fastest time on the day. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Nigel Troy the Trojan horse, really trying to will himself into this. If he can move it any distance at all, then it'll be better than the time he got for the final flip of the tyre. And here we go then. Can Nigel Troy, or Jay Hughes rather, get this onto the top of the barrel? I don't think he can. No one seems to be able to do this. It's all, look at this resin. There's a real problem here, Gary.
Yeah, apparently so. The tacking needs a little while to kind of settle in, but the lads aren't allowed to use it on the tyre, so they have to put it on just before they come to the big stone. But as you can see, it's causing big problems.
Yeah, as you heard Glenn say earlier, it's just not working. It's a bit like Vaseline. It's too late to put on the resin. It doesn't work, and it's got to be on there for some time. That doesn't matter. The failure on the stone doesn't matter, because he'll have the fastest time by far, I would think, and that will be your leader overall, I think.
Yeah, he looked very strong on that move,
Jay, looks like you pulled off what was starting to look like the impossible there.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about it. Saw Glenn finish the walk, but a couple of the lads stopped there and I was a bit worried, but focus, went in there, never done it before, gave it my all and finished it. Just a shame I didn't do the stone. I was a bit gutted by that.
You said you didn't do the stone. Did you sort of like give it one good try and then decide to save yourself, or?
Yeah, I felt the hamstring start to cramp. It was slipping on that. I gave it one lift, but there's no use injuring myself. I think I won that event, so I think I did. But good start, and I normally start badly, so I'm well chuffed.
Well done.
Over the moon. Thank you very much.
Well, I certainly think he won it as well. We'll bring you up to date with that. Look at that, 27.5 seconds to the end of the railway part of it. Glenn Ross second, 43.7. Rob Frampton third. He moved that railway line 1.3 metres, and then the rest were tyre flip times, with Lewis MacLean in fourth place and the rest following on. Well, with 3 events to go, the next event, the Apollo Axle, we'll just take a break. Join us for that.